Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator news and updates. We got some new products hitting the scene today, so stick around to find out what those are all about. If you are interested in acquiring any of my Overkills tutorial guides from Microsoft Flight Simulator or simply interested in supporting the channel, please consider joining us on Patreon. Patreon subscribers level tier 2 and above have access to all of my guides as well as any future releases that come down the road. Patreon link can be found in the description below. First up, you guys, a guide that I am very proud to have been released or to have released already is the Overkill's TBM 850 guide for Microsoft Flight Simulator. This thing turned out absolutely amazing. It has absolutely everything you need to complete a full cold and dark flight from where did we start? San Francisco over to Las Vegas, you guys. It is an absolutely awesome guide. Everything that you need is contained within inside. The guide walks you through everything from flight loading, the SimBrief flight plan, the GNS 530. We use the GNS 530 because everybody has access to it. It doesn't require any purchase from the PMS 50. It doesn't require any free downloads from the PMS 50 or the TDS purchase for the GTN 750. So that's why we went with the GNS 530. We will be adding the GTN 750 later on, but for now I wanted to get a release out that everybody could use. Now, one of the really cool things that I did differently with this guide that I finally figured out how to do, and I'll be updating the other guides to do, is I added the table of contents with a link. So now simply you can go to table of contents, find out what you're looking for, and jump straight to it and get into the guide. Again, everything is screenshotted. Everything is step-by-step. It references both the black square checklist as well as the real-world pilot's operational handbook for the TBM 850. I'm really proud of this guide. I'm really happy with the way that it turned out. It came out really, really well. And I hope that you guys will consider joining me on Patreon and helping support the channel and my future endeavors. We have another turboprop aircraft of a guide that I'm currently working on that hopefully will be releasing the day the aircraft releases. I can't tell you what it is yet, guys. I'm under NDA, but I can promise the guide is looking very, very sharp there as well. So again, if you guys are interested in supporting it or picking up this guide or any of my guides, all you have to do is subscribe to Patreon, $10 a month or more, and you get access to all of my guides. It is not $10 per guide. It's $10 for a subscription, which gives you access to all of the guides. And this is guide number 11 for me. We have 12 on the way. So anyway, TBM 850 guide from Overkill. I hope you guys enjoy it. Next up on the list, you guys, we have some information about the immersion effect coming from Parallel 42. Now, you guys, this was initially released by an older developer called OldProp. OldProp was actually the previous company that later became Parallel 42. So, with the development of the Juice Goose and all the 747-8i immersion packs that are coming around, we know there was a sound pack that came out not too long ago for the 747. Parallel 42 is stepping it up and doing the immersion pack that you're seeing here on the screen for the 747. Now, hopefully they will be expanding forward into other aircraft as well, but I know that this is something that is definitely on its way. Now, they're going to be adding things like, obviously, the contrails. We're going to have the wing vortices, wingtip vortices, what do you call it? Engine mist? I don't know. The vapor that's caused from reverse thrust on a wet or saturated runway. Same thing with the thrust increase. They're doing a lot. There's going to be a lot of things that they're adding to this particular aircraft that's all ambient, or I should say not ambient, but outside effects for the aircraft. And the cool thing about it is, for example, like we were just talking about with the reverse thrust or just general forward thrust on a wet runway, the runway has to be wet for that to take place. Same thing with all of the other effects. If the environmental effects don't meet the scenario in which said effects would appear, they won't appear. So they're really doing a great job with this. And again, you guys, as soon as we have more information on that, obviously I'll be keeping you guys up to date. I will definitely be testing it out once it is released. I really appreciate the work that Parallel 42 does. I really do. They really step in and outside the box all the time. It really depends on, it depends on what mood they're in that day. Like, yeah, let's go over here. And then like with the Juice Goose, let's go over here, and then the Kit Fox and the Camp series, like they're all over the place, but they're really taking advantage of the entire simulator as a whole. And I really appreciate that. So again, this is the immersion effect that will initially release for the 747-8i. And as soon as it does, I will let you guys know and we'll test it out. The freeware 787-9 from Horizon Simulations will be released this Friday for Microsoft Flight Simulator, just in time for VATSIM's Cross the Pond event. Now, a couple things to speak to on this. First off, in order to use the 787-9 from Horizon Simulations, you must have the premium or deluxe version of Microsoft Flight Simulator, meaning that you have the base 787-10 version. Now, the other thing is, before you think about jumping all over it and using it to fly VATSIM's Across the Pond event, remember that they do not recommend that you fly an aircraft that you are not completely familiar with on the VATSIM network, as it can cause a lot of frustration and an immersion break for other flight enthusiasts and pilots and simulators across the country. Or across the world, I should say. So again, you guys, make sure that you don't jump all over it. Wait until you're comfortable with an aircraft before you join the VATSIM network. That is sort of a crucial piece of this because it really does affect the rest of the community. So just want to toss that out there because it is releasing the day before. So the other thing, one of the really cool things about the 787-9 is actually the most popular variant of the 787 series of aircraft in the real world, with more sales across the world than the Dash 8 and Dash 10 combined. Now, Horizon Simulations took advantage of Sim Update 13 and built this aircraft around the Sim Update 13 framework, which also gives you access to the EFB that was redone by Working Title. So you now have an EFB, you have all the avionics that are associated with the Working Title, as well as much, much more. Let's talk about some of those things. So EFB enhancements, they've obviously added the EFB performance calculations for the Dash 9 on both engine types. You're going to have the General Electric and the Rolls-Royce variants for the Dash 9. The doors page has been added to the EFB. Exterior models will now feature grime, dirt, markings, as well as other environmental impacts to the surfaces. New default wing textures. Again, we talked about the Rolls-Royce and General Electric, engines are now split into two separate aircraft models in the Microsoft menu. So you actually select your engine type before or as you select which aircraft you want to fly, and then load onto your ramp. They have so much more on, guys. I'm just going to sort of pick a few of them here that are highlighted here. We have the exterior lighting has completely been reworked. Cabin lighting now features mood lighting in the external view dependent on the livery type. So certain liveries you'll actually be able to see the internal cabin lights from the exterior. That's pretty cool. That's a new one. You don't see that very often in the simulator. Brand new cockpit textures, added correct engine displays based on the engine type. Gosh, they've really done a lot. The flight model has been reworked to match the real world Dash 9 tables. Fuel flow to match the real Dash 9. Taxi model match the real Dash 9, idle thrust, drag and lift values to match the real Dash 9, as well as model matching for things like VATSIM and the other multiplayer environments. So they've really gone above and beyond. Now, if you guys are interested in checking out what this aircraft is all about, many YouTubers, unfortunately I was not one of them, but I also didn't reach out, so I'm guilty. But there are plenty of YouTube content creators out there who have had access to the Dash 9 for a few days now. I believe they got it 5 days in advance prior to the actual release. And again, the release is this coming Friday, which I believe is the 27th. So if you guys are interested in that, make sure you guys stay tuned to Horizon Simulations for the public release of the aircraft. Again, please remember, you must have the premium or deluxe version of Microsoft Flight Simulator in order for this aircraft to work. A real quick update out of PMDG House. They have finally provided at least a overall starting feature list for the Universal Flight Tablet coming to their 737 series of aircraft. And there's also a couple screenshots that they posted on their forums that are showing the 777 freighter. So obviously that aircraft is also in development as well. But let's talk about what's expected. So first off, we're hoping for a release of an update. Hopefully, the goal is by October the 30th of this year. Yes, I specify this year. So we're looking at just a few days now until possibly having the Universal Flight Tablet installed on all of our 737 fleets. Now let's talk about what its initial features are going to be containing. So PMDG has committed to releasing the tablet with the flight plan and SimBrief integration, Navigraph charts, performance computations. The flight planning area will also allow you to download weather, display operational flight plan, and also real-time MEDAR information. So it'd be live weather information across the board at your fingertips. The performance area will allow you to compute your takeoff or landing performance, import data from other flight plans, or the aircraft and display graphics displayed threshold data. Goodness gracious, that was a mouthful. Other confirmed features include data entry via the attached keyboard or via an on-screen keyboard. So we can also use our own keyboard, which will be nice. Metric and imperial unit selection, day and night settings, so you have a light mode and a dark mode. Independent, fully functioned pilot and co-pilot tablets. So you can have one tablet have one thing on the screen, the other tablet will work completely independent. Now, they've also mentioned quite a few other features that are expected to be coming later on, but I'm not going to mention those because I don't want to get anyone's hopes up until they actually are in our hands. And that is not a shot at PMDG at all. They do absolutely amazing work. I love the work they put out. I know it takes a lot of time to do this. I just don't want to speak to something until it's in our hands. To Xbox users, unfortunately, they are hoping to get it to the Xbox, but until they have the access to implement those testing realms themselves, they are unable to give an idea as to when that would happen. Basically, essentially, what it sounds like is that Asobo needs to give them the ability to add their own updates in, so that way they can pump the that update out to the Xbox. And then be able to test it before they send it public. And it sounds like that's the hiccup, is that they're unable to do that at this time. It sounds like a restriction from the Asobo side, but that's just from gathering the pieces that I've read. That's my take on it, is that it is an Asobo issue preventing them from being able to apply any of the patches that they want to apply into the Xbox. And if they can't apply it, they can't test it. So anyway, hopefully October the 30th, we will have the Universal Flight Tablet in our cockpits. Cross your fingers. We'll see what happens. LatinVFR has released their Airbus A330 Neo in the Microsoft Flight Simulator marketplace for $34.99. Now, this aircraft is not going to have the fidelity of, say, Phoenix Simulations or PMDG, but is definitely going to be a step up from any of the freeware versions that are currently on. Although the Headwind A330 is a pretty hard one to compete with, if you ask me, but that's not a shot at LatinVFR, just stating what I believe in comparison here. The aircraft boasts customized systems of the Airbus A330 Neo, simulating its basic cockpit functionalities. I hate it when they say things like basic. Like, what's a basic? Basic can mean so many things to two different people. So highly detailed external and interior models with high definition textures, a realistic A330 cockpit with functionality covering most of the basic systems. There it is again. It's like they repeated themselves. Custom simulation of the auto transfer of the trim tank based on the aircraft's center of gravity and auto logic. Custom fuel dumping system, interior cabin, with 3-class layout, and a cabin galley. Gosh, I got the hiccups and I hate it. 42 custom liveries from Real World Airlines. 42, that's a lot of liveries. Excellent flight dynamics that resemble the Airbus A330-900's characteristics, power management, and fuel systems, as well as others. Custom VNAS system implementation, and a custom EFB. The EFB boasting with weather, aircraft loading, sim brief, Navigraph charts, as well as some ground operations that are available directly from the EFB. SimBrief flight plans can be injected directly into the CDU, so if you don't want to actually edit it in, you guys can just manually or click a button and have it automatically delivered to it. And then finally, realistic sounds. And I know that we've seen some videos in the past here on YouTube showcasing some of the soundscapes of the A330 Neo. So again, that is a LatinVFR A330 Neo. There's a shot there of the EFB, and you guys can see the cockpit there. It will still be a fun aircraft to have. I think I'm going to go ahead and grab it. $34.99. I can't complain about the price. We'll at least see what it's all about and how good it really is. And if not, again, $35, and they're being very upfront. That's my thing about it. They're not trying to say it's going to be ultra realistic, the most simulated A330. No one's saying anything like that. They flat out said, this is not going to be PMDG or Phoenix quality, but it's going to be a step up from the default or freeware options. And again, the only thing that I snicker at when they say above the freeware options is the Headwind A330 Neo is, again, that's a really good A330. They've really done a good job with it. It's a lot of fun. But we'll see what happens, because I will be picking this aircraft up and we'll be showcasing it here on the channel and seeing what happens. Well, you guys, that is going to wrap up today's news and updates for Microsoft Flight Simulator. I hope you guys found some useful information, something to be excited about. As always, folks, thank you for continued love and support. Stay safe and healthy, and I shall see you all in the next one.